our troubles were through. I whispered I'd do, and promised I'd stay in love with you.
This is Gina from Haunted Flower, and last night I went to a screening for Our Family Wedding. First off, I've got to say, this whole credo that they do in the film, our marriage, their wedding, that's bullshit, okay? Your wedding is your wedding, because ideally, you're only doing it once, right? Do it right. Both the families are paying for it. Of course you should listen to their input, but it's not about them, it's about the two people actually getting married. Now that that rant is out of the way, onto the review. Our Family Wedding is the first movie Rick Famuyiwa has directed since Brown Sugar in 2002, and he also wrote this movie with a writer from the short-lived series Kenan and Kel and a video game writer for The Sopranos. If this doesn't raise an eyebrow, I'm not sure what will. This ensemble cast is full of big names like Forrest Whitaker, America Ferrera, Carlos Mencia, Regina King, Charlie Murphy, and our young groom is played by Lance Gross, a prominent go-to guy for Tyler Perry. The premise is that, we've had lots of wedding movies and we've done the black and white couple thing, so let's try the black and Latino couple for a change and see how funny that is. If you are interested in this movie, I really recommend going to a theater that is packed full of the target demographics like I did, because they get a lot more of the cultural jokes, and it's a lot more fun hearing them laugh and talk at the screen. I had a lot more fun reacting to the audience reactions than the movie itself. The funny thing is that after a while, the audience also laughed at some of the dramatic scenes because some weren't done that well, like the obligatory fight scene between the bride and groom about getting cold feet. This movie is a few steps beyond Father of the Bride, with considerably less heart and a lot more slapstick. Marcus, played by Lance Gross, and Lucia, played by America Ferrera, want to get married, but they have not introduced each other to their parents yet. Lucia is hiding the fact that she dropped out of law school for her dad, and Ferrera also demonstrates the worst singing in a wedding movie since Cameron Diaz in My Best Friend's Wedding. Miguel, played by Carlos Mencia, tows Brad, who's played by Forrest Whitaker's car in the beginning of the movie, which initiates their conflict because they can't find ways to be civilized without bringing a racial element into it. Usually Carlos Mencia can kind of get on my nerves, but he does way better in this film than in Valentine's Day, particularly in quiet scenes with Lucia. Del and Sonia have another daughter, Izzy, played by Angela N. Johnson, whose sarcastic tomboy line delivery generates some of the best moments in the film. Forrest Whitaker plays Brad, who is a late-night DJ that somehow generates a heck of a lot more income than you'd expect for such a job. I'm used to seeing Whitaker take on really dramatic roles, so at first it seemed kind of silly to see him doing comedy in this way, but he had a few great moments, like when he invented the African-American national anthem. Brad is divorced and raised Marcus on his own and relies quite a bit on his less-than-professional relationship with his lawyer, Angela, played by Regina King. I absolutely adore Regina King when she is getting to play strong women like in Jerry Maguire, but here she starts out tough and then totally gives up too much power in the relationship. Their oncoming romance is about as subtle as an oncoming freight train. There are too many conflicts. The main conflict is supposed to be about an African-American family and a Mexican family trying to integrate for a wedding, but both being very stubborn about how their cultures are represented. Then the two fathers are fighting. Each father is having an argument with their wife or romantic interest. The bride and groom are fighting. The bride and maid of honor are fighting. Brad is fighting with everyone breaking stuff in his very expensive home. Miguel doesn't get along with his new son-in-law, Marcus. Grandma hates everybody. Of course, by the wedding's end, all of these are resolved. There are a few unnecessary contrived scenes just kind of lodged in for comedy's sake and don't really further the plot. The weirdest of these is the family playing softball. Competition gets everyone riled up for sure, but why in the world do they get to pitch to their own team? Is this some new rule of softball, or have the writers never watched a game? I really don't know. If you have ever heard of your pitcher being on your pitching to you, just let me know, because I've never heard of this before. This is just one example of a weird scene just kind of thrown in. This movie really tries for jokes with multiple uses of Viagra, throwing in a goat to destroy things and hump a leg at the last minute, but the best of these is putting Charlie Murphy in the film and letting him do what he does best. making really big expressive faces where somehow his mouth like stretches all the way to his ears. This film is really more funny in the few moments where it lets natural humor take over, like Charlie Murphy and the guys sitting around teasing each other about being whipped instead of the ridiculous slapstick destruction scenes. The final verdict for this movie is that I liked it better than Valentine's Day or Guess Who, but it isn't very memorable and it would still be on the low end of wedding movies I've seen. And that's all for my review of Our Family Wedding. Next week I will be seeing Repo Men and also The Bounty Hunter. So come check back for my opinions on those, and don't forget to visit hauntedflower.com for all of my movie reviews, both webcam reviews and written reviews. I review DVDs and I've started reviewing anime, so please go check those out. And also don't forget to visit indiemojo.com if you're around the Indianapolis area, and you can find out about movie screenings going on in the area and lots of other events to basically have a good time.
Check out our other movie reviews at hauntedflower.com, your place for fantastic apparel, action figures, and collectibles. Also, you can follow us on Twitter, fan our Facebook page, or add us as a friend on MySpace or Rotten Tomatoes. If you're local to the Indianapolis area, visit indiemojo.com for details on how you can win free screening passes.
If 10 million fireflies.
Okay. And our young groom is played. This ensemble cast is packed with, not all of them were done very well, like the obligatory an African American family and a Mexican family trying to integrate for a wedding, but neither wanting to giving up. Lance Gross, who is a prominent go-to guy for Tyler Terry. Tyler Terry, that's nice.